So, last video I shared about how badly I fumbled when it comes to, talking to girls and possibly getting into a relationship. This video is a 180, complete 180. We're going to be talking about WWE 2K25 because for those who don't know, it's coming out this year and most likely at March. And I'm going to get the game. However, I'm going to be the first one to say that 2K25, with everything that's going on right now, it could be one of the best 2K games, but there's certain modes they needed to fix. But before I get into that, let me explain a little bit for those who are not wrestling fans or not aware about the games. I've been a fan of wrestling for a while. My first game was back in 2012, which is WWE 13. WWE 13 was the first game I was introduced to. I was introduced to it when I was playing with my neighbor. And that whole story is another story for another day of how much of an asshole child I was. But I was introduced to 13. Then I got into wrestling, and I remember my first ever match. It was a 6-man tag team match. It was Cody Rhodes, Alberto Del Rio. No. Let me fix that. Mark Henry, Alberto Del Rio, and The Miz taking on Big Show, John Cena, and CM Punk. That was the match. And it's a weird match to start off with, but that was the match I did. Now with all that though, I got into wrestling even more with the whole Daniel Bryan yes movement. When Daniel Bryan was fighting for the crowd and tried to win the title, and WWE pretended that they planned that all along. No, they fucking didn't. 2K, they after that, man, I played all the games. I watched wrestling all the time, and I played all the games ever since. And I've seen some highs and I've same some bads. The same goes to the 2K games. I've seen some games that I liked and some that I didn't like. Luckily though, I got lucky not playing 2K20 in 2K Battlegrounds. And for those who don't really know why that's lucky, just search those games up and you figure out why 2K Battlegrounds was boring and 2K20 was 2K20. It was a mess. Which then resulted into the fan base getting upset. They wanted to protest and, well, not protest, but they didn't want to buy their games anymore. They went back to 2K19, which result into 2K Studios introducing WWE 2K22, and it was a whole different beast. Graphics different, the looks different, the career modes different. Everything about 2K was no longer really a simulation match. It was a little bit more of an arcade match combined with simulation settings, which is somehow a very good combo. And 2K came back. It was back. And it led us to where we are now, where we're out here getting excited for 2K25. But again, however, I really think the problem with 2K right now is that at the end of the day, there's only one amazing mode that people love. Aside from that, there really isn't anything to write home about. Now, when I say that, I'm not counting the quick play or the online. The online obviously is a mess when it comes to lag and all that, but it is fun. People do it. They like it. Quick play, obviously, you just grab your wrestlers, you have fun. You go around. The match types in WWE 2K24 are amazing. We got war games. We brought back special referee, and we brought in the ambulance match. The match types is good, and the character selection, top tier. Got them old wrestlers and some current wrestlers. What more do you want? Now, with all that being said, like I said, I think out of all the modes, though, aside from quick play, there's only been one good mode. And they're really good modes, because that's why people still love it. However, I think 2K needs to fix a few problems with the game. First problem is their modes. They need to fix certain modes in the game. GM mode, My Faction, Universe mode, and 2K Showcase mode. That's the first problem. The second problem that they have is there's no longevity with the game. Now, I'm gonna start off with the longevity for a minute here. I'm gonna start off with that because there are games in this world that don't need longevity. Games like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Uncharted 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All those games, they don't need longevity. There's no reason to have longevity. Because they're first player story modes. Split Faction, which is coming out soon. Or Split Fiction, excuse me. You want to go back in time? It Takes Two. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I was just playing it just now. Epic Mickey. All those games don't need longevity. It doesn't. Because you're there for the moment. The whole purpose of the game was to be there for the moment. For 2K, you need longevity for 2K because once everybody stopped playing, they're not picking it back up. I mean, I finished the story mode and I did a couple universe mode and I just stopped playing entirely. I just went to play other games. And here's the thing. WWE 2K24 is a fighting game. As much as people don't really want to admit that or want to, praise it as like that, it's a fighting game. It's a fighting game. What are you doing? What do you do in the game? You fight. It's not like a Tekken. It's not like a Smash Brothers. It's not, Street Fighter. It ain't all that. But it is a fighting game. Same goes to the UFC. It's a fighting game. You beat the shit out of people. What more do you want? It counts as a sport, I know. But sport, fighting game, it's both. It can be both. So, in games like that, you need longevity. Because that's the reason why we see tournaments like Tekken 8. We see Street Fighter 6. We see even Mortal Kombat, even though that game's right now is getting blasted right now for being bad, apparently. Smash Brothers is a prime example of a fighting game that stucks to it and keeps going. Ultimate has been out for a fucking while, bro. And people are still playing it. Even Melee. So, the longevity is important in 2K. Because with the longevity, gives you an opportunity to realize, hey, so the way how we're doing these modes, we're doing such a good job. We need to keep what makes the modes great, but add a few things that we can make it better. That's the smartest way to make a game even better than the year before. Because sometimes that's just, and even if it's not the case, we can see that you try. For this situation, I doubt that they even try to make it better. They just copy and paste all the other games. And again, the graphics is great. Everything in the game is great. The community creation mode is one of the best has been the best it's ever been. All that. But when it comes to the modes, nobody goes in there and create a wrestler and just fuck on and never plays again. Nobody does that. They want to play the game. They want to play the game and they want to have a reason to go back in. There's not really a reason to go back in the game unless there's a DLC coming out. The only reason that you ever want to go back into the game is because you turn off the game because you didn't finish either career mode or something. You go to bed because you're a normal human being and you get back on the next day. That's the only reason why you get back on. I think the best way that that's where the way how they can fix the longevity is where I get to the second problem. Fix the modes. You need to fix the modes. Because career mode is not longevity. That career mode, you're there because they've established that it is a story mode. It is a full-on story mode of your own character. It's not like NBA 2K. It's not like Madden where you can just go to every season after season after season after season with the same crappy cutscenes, and you just go on there and become a legend. You retire and you're in the Hall of Fame. No, that's not how it works. In this story mode, in this career mode, this is the story, and I'm talking about the men's one. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I did the women's one. Here's the thing about the women's one. I'm willing to bet that it's really good as well. I'm willing to bet it probably is. But that's my point. in a career mode, you're kind of, most people are there to make themselves. They're not really out to like make other women, you know, make a random person in there and the women and all that. Same goes to women. They're not there to make a random man and, you know, do a career mode there. No, they're gonna do the one that fits their wheelhouse. The story mode from the men is this. Your nickname is the Dark Horse. That's what they call you the whole way. The reason why is because were considered the underdog who ended up becoming champion. You start off as the world champion and you defended year and after year after year to the point that you're getting close to Roman Reigns' universal title record. And with that resulted into you having a WrestleMania match against Roman Reigns. You beat him and you're no longer the Dark Horse. You're the guy. You're the man. That's the career mode. And it's a good career mode. It's a good career mode. Trust me, the storylines in there is hilarious and fun and entertaining and scary. But that's not longevity. You're just there, click it, boom, done. Okay, what else can I do? Oh, really not else I can do because everything else is pretty boring. Again, longevity. But now after figuring out the longevity, because for those who don't understand, like the best way they can bring in the longevity of 2K is to make the longevity modes a reason to keep going. Universe mode. WWE Universe mode, everybody goes in there after a career mode or if they don't want to do online. Because in Universe mode is where you can just grab random wrestlers, you put them in the match. It kind of works like a real wrestling schedule, kind of. And then you go to NXT, SmackDown, Raw. You can see how it goes. And for those who has creative minds, like me, not when I mean my creative mind, who takes time to really think, you know, about like pretending to be a GM. You go in there, you book matches, you book storylines and all that, and it could be fun. But the problem is this: there's really no lack of options to really do anything in universe mode. Like, yeah, you could post a match whatever you want, but you can't really make that a rivalry, or you can't put a specific storyline in that. You just put rivalry and then boom, those guys just hate each other there's no story and none of that. Like, that's the problem. Like, I think universe mode could have thrived a lot more if this was an option. If they did this. In 2K25, this is what I think they can do to help that mode. You're in universe mode. You log in, and the first thing it does, they ask you, how do you want to play it? Do you want to play it by one character, or do you want to just do a free-for-all and pretend that you're creating the match and all that? Let's say you do the second option. They go, okay, all right, fair enough. Before each show begins, I don't want them to simulate a random matches as soon as you log in. They can do the first thing they can do is do this. All right, so we're in Raw right now. Choose your match. Choose how many matches you want. And they should bring back, cut a promo and all that. Hopefully with voices. With voice lines in there. Okay, so how many matches you want, how many people you want, how many promos you want to cut, and what other type of rivalries do you want to bring into that mode? So you get creative, and then for the rivalry mode, you make a rivalry, and then once that's done, you can do this. You go, okay, they can do this. They can let you go, all right, here you go. Here's the script right here. Tell us, why are they in a rivalry? What's the story? What is it? And you can give them the time to come up with the most craziest option ever. Like, for example, maybe rivalry between Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn pushed Seth Rollins' wife out of the dinner table and everybody's upset. And he was upset. Like that, something like that. Or something simple like like for Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is upset because he lost his title match and he felt like he really got screwed over. So that's the rivalry. He's gonna try to get that. Gonna force Cody to give him back that chance to win for another title match. Stuff like that. They put an option like that in universe mode, I promise you, people are going to be playing it a lot more because you're giving them the freedom to really be creative and think about what type of ideas they can put in and it could work. And what type of pay-per-views they can put in, or who's going to be in the Raw roster and all that. Do all that, and I promise you it'll be you're going to be thriving. Instead, it goes to the UI. The UI is the bad. Just, well, I mean, it's whatever, really, honestly. That's universe mode. That's the main longevity one. So I made my point about universe mode to make it better, and how that can help people stay in 2K, because then you're giving them a chance to really entertain themselves by putting in random storylines, giving them a reason to really sit there and go, okay, so I'm gonna go to universe mode because I have an idea, or I want to pretend I want this to happen, or I want this to happen, and you can choose who's the bad guy and good guy in these rivalry. Bingo. Now, I know the first argument that people are going to make about that idea is the fact that there is, universe mode. The universe mode, not universe mode, GM mode. GM mode. Here's the thing with GM mode, which is, I think they can make a difference. GM mode is very limited, and that stinks. Here's the difference that I think they could do it. They could have done it like they did back in the day, where it's like, hey, welcome to the GM mode. And they're doing that. This is your GM opponents. Book the best. How do you want your option? They should let it be an option. Like, do you want your match to be? Because what they have isn't bad. It's just that that's the only option you have. You're like, hey, do you want this to be like you're building from the ground up? Or do you just want to have access to everything, and then you can play against your GM mode and you can decide the winner? Or you can decide, because the problem is that people, like, you can have like a full-on like 40-minute banger of a match, and then it'll be like 2 stars. Fix that shit, please. Like, I think they should actually based on how the match actually goes. Like, if it was a squash match, yeah, I get 1 star and all that. But it's how the wrestling feel. How can you, basically all that. If it's a 30-minute match, there's no way it's going to be fucking 1 star. It's going to be 5 stars. You know what I mean? So they need to fix that mode completely. Like, just revamp it. Keep that option where to limit yourself, but also add an option where you can just go access everything. You can play against other GM modes. You choose one show, and you book your show there. There you go. And again, back to, more options, more storylines, more match types, more ability, and have the option to bring every single title. Stop with the world title. Stop with the women's title, and then the tag title and the Money to Bank. Stop that. Just put the freaking mid-card titles in there, man. It's not that hard. Now, with my faction, though, I probably could go a little crazy about it. For those who don't know, my faction is a kind of like a My Team mode or an Ultimate Team mode in Madden and NBA, but the difference is that it's strictly offline, and people kind of just go in there to really just get new alternate attires for wrestlers. I don't really want to bash too much on that mode because that's new. I do think it's kind of a waste of a slot, judging by what I'm seeing. I could have replaced that with Road to WrestleMania. With the Road to WrestleMania mode, for those who don't know, it's basically just a whole creation of a mode that 2K themselves created. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. I don't really have an opinion for my faction, and because not I need to wait and see all that. But the biggest mode for me, I think, needs to be fucking fixed. This is personal for me, because universe mode, I made my point. Just make it feel more freely, give you an option to be a little bit more creative in there. For GM mode, obviously, general manager, you know what that means. You're basically running the company. You're the manager of the company. You own the company. You're basically trying to pull out the best matches, the best quality shows, all that. Everyone knows how GM mode works, because you see GM mode in 2K and you see GM mode, I think, in Madden. It's fucking self-explanatory. 2K Showcase mode. This mode, I'm gonna revamp time real quick. and 2K when in 2K and Dota 13, they had that was like the one of the first showcase modes in a way, but it wasn't called showcase mode. It was just called Attitude Era because the whole purpose of that mode was to give a tribute to the Attitude Era, which for those who don't know was wrestling has different eras. The Attitude Era was an era that was based on 1999 to 2001 and 2. So it had a bunch of top stars like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Dwayne Johnson, Road Dogg, even like we're talking about mid-card like Goldust, Road Dogg, Godfather, Vader, Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Vince McMahon was introduced as a villainous character. Everybody had a character. Big Boss Man, like Crash Holly, the whole hardcore stuff, like everything worked. Well, not everything because, well, we also had, they also had, Beaver Cleavage and Median, and I'm not going to explain to you why those are bad because you can Google that shit. Just know that if you don't want to know, don't search it up. But just know those things existed. But 13 was a whole tribute to the Attitude Era. 2K14 was a 30 years of WrestleMania where you go down every single WrestleMania at that time and you play you play the matches. You play every single WrestleMania match, and they usually pump out matches that don't mean shit sometimes, but then they'll also pull out matches that actually was beneficial to the company at the time. So it was a good mode. 2K15 had two showcase mode. Best Friends, Better Enemies with the whole Shawn Michaels and Triple H story back in 2002, the whole rivalry. And then Hustle, Loyalty, Disrespect, which is the whole rivalry between CM Punk and John Cena. Now they added some, DLC storyline, the whole thing with Christian and Randy Orton, the whole thing with Mark Henry, the whole Mark Henry storyline, all those guys, and the Ultimate Warrior, all like they did introduce to those, but they're DLC. I'm not talking about DLC right now. 2K16 was a whole tribute to Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was a whole about Stone Cold Steve Austin's career, how he started, and how he became the Rattlesnake. 2K17 didn't have a showcase mode until they added the DLC. 2K18 just got rid of it. 2K19 introduced the whole story about Daniel Bryan, which was also pretty good. Excuse me. And 2K20, despite me bashing about how bad the game is, did have a showcase mode. It was a whole about how the women wrestling got revolutionized and it became one of the top things people want to see. And then 2K22 hit. They had a Rey Mysterio tribute. It sucked. John Cena won. It sucked. 40 years of WrestleMania was the worst one because 2K24 was based on 40 years of WrestleMania and it was 40 years of nothing. Because this is the problem with 2K Showcase mode from 22 to 24. You're in the match. You're recapping the match. Sometimes they'll give you like gaming cutscenes and all that, right? They put real life cutscenes in there. Have everything's blurred out. And sometimes the objectives there are just pants. They're really pointless objectives. There's no meaning for half of the objectives there. Big example of 40 years of WrestleMania where it's like, hey, take this wrestler to like the southeast side of the road. Like, what? Like, no, screw you. But that's how they worked. And again, fucking missed opportunity, man. Because another thing is that some of the matches just ends in a cutscene. So showcase mode is just terrible. Because the only reason why people use those modes is to literally just unlock stuff. And let me tell you something right now. Because of that mode, I got sick of Corey Graves. I got sick of him. I didn't want to hear his voice. I wanted to punch him in the face. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah, I said it. That's what I wanted to do. I got sick of him in 40 years of WrestleMania because he just kept talking. Sorry. But that's basically the whole issue with showcase mode right now. Whatever showcase mode they're going to bring in, they need to go back to what they used to do. if you're gonna try to like have the person talk or share a story, do it before the match or after the match, not in the middle of the match. And if you're gonna give us a cutscene, don't make it be half of the majority of the match. Just make it like cutscenes that is crucial because crucial because it'll make sense and it'll look good. And then I'll immediately go right back to the fighting, like basically how I did in 2K15 or did 2K14, like where they'll give us cutscenes, but then there weren't long cutscenes. They'll the most is like 2 minutes or 1 minute, like one of those times, and just like that, boom, right back to the action. For showcase mode now, it's like 5, 6, 10 minutes. Mira, man, what do you think I'm trying to do? Anyway, that is my rant on that. So to recap, 2K15 is gonna be great. The graphics is gonna be better. I already knew. The career mode is gonna be top notch. I already know that. Character selection is gonna be even better. I already know that. But we need showcase mode to be better. We need my faction to really start getting a rhythm going, and we need GM mode to fix themselves, and we need they need to fucking rebuild and refix and fix entirely everything about universe mode to make it a reason for people to come back and have some longevity to keep playing the game to the point that they get excited every time they get on, and they're gonna end up playing 2K26 because they're gonna expect more access with the same stuff that made the universe mode great. If 2K15 can, if 2K25 can do that, we're looking at an all-time great 2K game. I don't know. What you guys think? How do you guys feel about what I have to say? Do you guys agree with what I have to say? Do you guys think 2K could do something else differently? If so, leave a comment down below. My name is Benito Jr. 0408, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.